Howdy, everyone. It's Sam. I hope you're doing really well. If you're new around here, I hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. In my opinion, State of Origin goes on the back burner this weekend because we got International Rugby League happening for the first time in damn near 3 years. The return to Mount Smart, Kiwis versus Tonga. It's all happening this weekend, even without NRL. I am so excited to get into this with ROO+HAMMER for the first time on this channel. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. Starting with Hammer, how are you, dude?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, doing very well. Great, excited to be here. Massive fan of International Rugby League, and I am one of those weird ones that prefer the international game ahead of over Origin any day of the week. So yeah, it's great. Thanks for inviting us on to chat about International Rugby League, bud.
Hey, you guys had me on the channel last year as well, and I had a great time with you. And I only want to do the proper thing. And Roo, how are you going?
Yeah, doing really well, thanks, mate. Yeah, thanks so much for having me tonight, having us tonight, I should say. Yeah, really excited to talk footy. I'm probably opposite of Hammer. I'm a State of Origin purist, so yeah, I love State of Origin time. Being a proud Queenslander, it's always an exciting time of year. But yeah, and I love having international footy back. It's been way too long, and great to see a game at Mount Smart finally.
Yeah. Love a good debate, man. Love a good debate. Now, guys, if you are new to ROO+HAMMER, links to their descriptions to everywhere is in the description box below on Instagram, Facebook. Their bank details are down in the description box below. Patreon as well. Go and check them out. Subscribe to them as well. And trust me, you won't be disappointed. They are fantastic New Zealand Warriors-based podcasters, and they're going from strength to strength. Really, really lucky and happy that they are with me here this evening. And speaking of people that are here with me this evening, I just want to go into the chat now and say hello to everyone. Mr. Piripi Akwasi, hey man. Warriors NRL Fanatics, hey dude, how you going? Just going to continue scrolling down. Mr. Jason Reeders in the house as always. He's a consistent follower of mine. CJ Moxley. Thank you everyone for tuning in for this really special live stream. Thank you everyone. Now, just the first question I want to throw out to you, gentlemen, is just a soft one for people that don't know you, and I love asking questions to get people to get to know my guests. And Bruce, starting with you first, man. Do you have a foot in either camp this weekend? Are you more so leaning towards New Zealand, or are you going for a Samoa? Who are you going for this weekend, man?
It's always a bit of a funny one for me with international footy. Most people assume, being a Warriors fan, that I'll be a Kiwis fan, but I'm actually Australian. Yeah. So when it comes to the international game, yeah, it's a little bit interesting because it's really hard to cheer against your own players when they're playing for New Zealand or they're playing for Samoa or Tonga and that sort of thing. So I tend to be quite neutral when it comes to the international game. I do like to see the sort of the emerging nations do well. Like, obviously Tonga's really stamped themselves on the international scene, but it's great to see Samoa picking strong squads, and obviously Fiji as well. So enjoy the international game from a neutral perspective.
Yeah, nice. And everything you said just then came in crystal clear, man. All good. And Hammer yourself, man. Do you have a foot in either camp this weekend? Do you have a bit of a bloodline or heritage line?
I'm a proud Māori, mate. So yeah, I'm always 110% behind the Kiwis. And yeah, I mean, I was born and raised in Australia, but my dad's Māori, mum's Aussie, but her lineage is from New Zealand as well. So I was always brought up to, support the All Blacks, support the Kiwis, and then support anyone that was playing Australia. So that's pretty much where I sit.
And so Mount Smart Stadium has been lying in dormant, collecting dust for 3 odd years now, 2.5 years now. And I really want to ask this question, even though it's Warriors based, because I haven't really had an opportunity to even speak to you guys about it, behind closed curtains and stuff. And starting with you, Hammer, this time, man, how much of a party is it going to be starting from now until this Saturday out there at Auckland at Mount Smart Stadium. It's just going to be electric, isn't it?
It is, mate. The New Zealand Rugby League public have been starved of any, live rugby league for nearly 3 years now. I think they're saying it'll be 1,089 days since the Warriors played there when they play the Tigers in a week's time at Mount Smart. I'm really happy to see live rugby league at Mount Smart, but in a perfect world, it would have been great if it could have been the Warriors that played there first before the Kiwis and the Tonga test. And that was supposed to be the way it was going to work out, because the Panthers game last weekend was originally supposed to be at Mount Smart. But then with the New Zealand government at the beginning of the year, with uncertainty around how travel would happen, then the Warriors kind of pulled that game back, played that at Moreton Daily Stadium, and pushed the homecoming back another week. So great that Mount Smart Stadium gets to witness some rugby league, and there's been some great images on Instagram and Facebook this week from some of the players. Now that the Kiwis have touched down in Auckland and are actually training at Mount Smart Stadium, it's really great that a lot of guys like Isaiah Papali'i, Marata Nuakore, who grew up as a junior Warrior, are back there now. They're sharing a lot of nostalgic things on Facebook and Instagram about being back at Mount Smart. So, it's going to be great. I think it'll be a sea of red, not a sea of black. Because Tonga always have great support when they play. So, really looking forward to the game.
Thank you so much. That was great. And Roo, yourself, man, what's your thoughts on Mount Smart Stadium, and how are you feeling as a Warriors fan, knowing that you're about to see that joint filled out for the first time in years? And are you along the same wavelength as Hammer, as so far as would you have preferred to have seen the Warriors grace the turf instead of this international test match?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of feels like it's stolen a bit of our thunder. This was sort of going to be our homecoming, but it is what it is. And just looking forward to seeing the test played this weekend, and then get the boys there the weekend after. Mate, it's going to be awesome. I've been lucky enough to be at Mount Smart Stadium 5 times. Four losses, and on my 5th time, I finally saw a win. And that happened to be Simon Mannering's 300th game. It was the final round in 2018, and the place was packed that night and absolutely went off. So I finally got to experience a win at Mount Smart Stadium, and the atmosphere was electric. So, like a lot of the guys we've had the pleasure of speaking to that have played there say that 8,000 at Mount Smart feels like about 50,000 people, such as the atmosphere there.
Yeah. I mean, 8,000 at Mount Smart would probably be a better atmosphere than 15,000 people at Sydney Olympic Park. I'm assuming. I'm just guessing there. And Hammerman, have you ever been to Mount Smart Stadium?
Never. No. So as I said, I've lived out here all my life, and without going too much into my backstory, I was a single dad of 5 kids for the last 20 years. So traveling back to New Zealand and stuff was never really on the cards for me. Now that all my kids are a lot older, they've left home, it's kind of my time. In 2020, I was planning on going back to New Zealand. I had everything organised. Was at the first game against Newcastle, and then COVID hit, and it kind of threw everything into disarray for quite a few years for a lot of us. So Rob and I have a plan. We're trying to get back there for the last game this year against the Titans. But it all comes down to finances, mate. If we can get back there, we will. We'd really love to, but if not, we'll definitely be there next year for a few games when they're back playing at their traditional home in Mount Smart and living in New Zealand.
For sure. And just one last question on Mount Smart Stadium, guys, and I'll start with you, Roo. Some of the Mount Smart Stadium games over the years, man, is there any in particular classic game that stands out to you? And this is a question for the chat that are watching right now. Are there any Mount Smart Stadium games that you recall that you really enjoyed watching as well? Or even if it's not your favorite, do you think one is better than the other? Roo, man, what are some Mount Smart Stadium classics in your opinion?
It's hard to go past March 10, 1995. the birth of the Auckland Warriors, watching Dean Bell run out, lead the team out in a sea of flames onto what was Ericsson Stadium back then for the first time. That, obviously we didn't get the win that night, but fantastic memories, and that's what kick-started everything. Then you go to the blackout game in 2008, the home final against the Roosters versus the Warriors, where famously Ruben Wiki ran it from the back fence straight into Sia Soliola. And I'll never forget. Obviously, I wasn't there, but the atmosphere that even came across from the TV, and again, the guys that we spoke to that played in that game said it was just unbelievable, the atmosphere there. I want to throw another one in there, and this is one that's really a real fond memory of mine. 1999, we had a 42-0 win over Newcastle. This is back when Mark Graham was coaching the team. And we went on a bit of a run at the end of the season, and we just came out and blew them away. The Knights were headed for the finals. We were out of contention. But, yeah, it was just a game that sort of sticks in my memory.
Nice, man. And Hammer, man, what about yourself?
Well, same as Rob. You can't go past game 1, 1995. Dean Bell leading the side out. Phil Blake becomes the first ever Warriors try scorer in that game, and a narrow loss to the Broncos, and then of course the blackout in 2008, the semi-final against the Roosters at Mount Smart Stadium is one that all Warriors fans remember. But for me, there's probably two other games that stand out. There's I think it was the 0-1 versus the Broncos, which was our first ever win against the Brisbane Broncos. We won that game 13-12 via a Stacey Jones field goal. And then in 2002, I'm an ex-North Sydney Bears man. So when the Bears were dropped out of the comp and they merged with Manly and became the Northern Eagles, I absolutely hated that union. So in 2002, the Warriors played the Northern Eagles at Mount Smart, and we had a 68-10 win, which was highlighted by a few things. We had a Stacey Jones hat trick. We had Clinton Torpey and Sione Faumuina both scored doubles, and Ivan Cleary had a personal tally of 28 points that night with a goal and a try and 12 goals from 12 attempts. So that one has always lived pretty fondly in my heart.
I've got two. One of them is a win. The other one is a loss. The loss being the 2000 semi-final against the Parramatta Eels. That was a mini blackout by comparison. I thought that was a crazy game of rugby league. And I think the last time the Warriors beat the Melbourne Storm as well, I thought that was a great game as well. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, that was the game where Nathan Friend went head over apex or base over apex. An amazing try and a memorable day and a memorable win for the Warriors on that occasion.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
Sweet. So without further ado, let's get into what we're here for. We're going to preview the test matches. And just a disclaimer as well, I and ROO+HAMMER, we're going to do our best to respectfully pronunciate, say it with as much respect as humanly possible to everyone that's lining up this weekend. And so let's get into it now. And everybody in the chat, thank you very much for tuning in. Now, it actually all starts up tomorrow night, and we're only going to touch on this one for just a little bit. So from Belmore Oval, it's the Lebanese Cedars hosting the Moulton Knights from Belmore Oval. And just a little bit of trivia here. The Moulton Knights, do you guys remember Jared Samet? Starting with you, Roo.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Jared Samet? He's still going around. And he's
fullback for Penrith, wasn't he?
Yeah, and halfback.
Yeah.
Maybe even
bleached blonde hair he had as well, didn't he?
And he's lining up for him. So, and I think he scored about 30-odd points to himself in a 66-6 win over another international side only a month or so ago. So that's a little bit of sort of mainstream sort of knowledge there floating in. And then I'd like to get your opinion, Roo, and then followed by Hammer, on the coaching dilemma that's got the Lebanese side a little bit off kilter. Have you heard any of this story with Michael Cheika, Roo?
Michael Cheika, obviously better known as a rugby union coach. It's interesting. I've never really heard of that happening before, but I did hear he has a bit of a rugby league background. So a little bit, yeah. So I guess he's not coming in completely cold. He'd have to know something about the game, but yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Well, Roo, he's not coming at all. He's been marooned out at bloody Argentina, so he was set to be the headline coach for the Lebanese.
Well, there you go.
He's trying to find his way back home. And so he's given everyone a call about 12 hours ago, and he said, right, we're going to have 4 coaches coaching Lebanon on Wednesday. It's going to be, help me, Hammer. It's going to be Michael Habib. It's going to be Robbie Farah. It's going to be Matt King and Jake Friend. Like, oh, man,
really?
What a bad preparation, Hammer.
I'm way out of the loop here.
Mate, you're not wrong. I only found out today that there was actually the test was going ahead, and then I mistakenly thought it was next Wednesday, not tomorrow night. It's kind of like been an afterthought where they've kind of, I think they're playing it at Belmore Sports Ground as well, which is kind of home to the Lebanese, I guess.
I was going to say Lebanese Central, yeah.
But no real NRL presence in this game whatsoever. Lebanon haven't picked any of their high-profile Lebanese players. I mean, obviously Alex Twil's unavailable. Sad news that he won't play for the rest of the year. But they haven't picked Mitch Moses. Adam Dewey, obviously, just back last week, but he hasn't been picked. And then last week there was a story that Sean O'Sullivan had come out and said that he wanted to be selected for Malta, but no NRL players actually selected for Malta as well. It looks like it's all New South Wales Cup and Queensland Cup players. So interesting. I'm gonna show my ignorance, and as I said, I'm a massive fan of the international game. But are both Lebanon and Malta actually qualified for the World Cup, or is it just Lebanon?
I think maybe just Lebanon at the time being. But yeah, I can't actually get. I've studied so much, and that one's just fallen by the wayside, Emma, unfortunately. And fair question too, for sure. So yeah, guys, I just really wanted to show some respect just to this game because it's been shown none from the media and the mainstream.
Yep.
So I just want to put that out there that these two sides are going head to head tomorrow night on KO that you can watch from approximately 7 o'clock. So stand by for that. So there's a bit of footy happening on a Wednesday night after all, even though State of Origin is happening this Sunday anyway, regardless. So we'll move now into Saturday. This is so exciting. So the first game that is kicking off the festivities is the female Kiwi Ferns hosting the female Matema Tonga side from out there at Mount Smart Stadium. And I'll just bring up the Kiwi list here. And Roo, if you can, please, man, can I get you just to read out the names on that squad list, please, man?
Okay, we have Amy Turner, Annette Nuasala, Autumn Rain Stevens Daly, Charlotte Scanlon, Crystal Stowers, Georgia Hale, Hayley J. Mansell, Karina Wirakohu, Hanson Vahakolo, Rota, Albert Jones, Maddie Bartlett, Hill Moana, Arakua, Maynard, McGregor, Paige McGregor and Racine McGregor, and Roxy Murdoch-Masilla.
Now, there's a question that I want to ask both of you guys, and again, start with you, Roo, mate. Miss Madison Bartlett is a regular and of you guys, and you've hosted her maybe twice now, or maybe 3 times. How much of a fan of you are of Miss Bartlett, Roo?
Yeah, she was fantastic in the NRLW this year, leading try scorer. Yeah, she's always been very gracious to give up her time and chat with us, and she's a bit of a favourite on the show. And yeah, we hope she goes really well for the Kiwi Ferns on the weekend.
Absolutely, yeah, and just your opinion too on Madison Bartlett, Hammer.
Yeah, mate. We were very lucky in 2020 when, I was very lucky in 2020 when the Warriors women's side were based here in Sydney, and we had the 5 girls come over from New Zealand and had 17 really great Australian girls come and join our Warriors whānau. And we've managed to stay in touch with a lot of those girls. The 21 girls that participated that season, and we've got a great relationship with a lot of them. none more so than Maddie Bartlett and Georgia Hale as well. They were, two of the first live guests we ever had on our show. And, Maddie had a great year playing for the Dragons this year. And the hope is that these girls will return to the Warriors once the Warriors field a NRLW side. But they're all finding, their homes away from home now in other NRLW franchises. And, there's a big fear amongst Warriors fans that we won't see them again in Warriors colours. But they're playing great footy, and we're really supportive of what they do on the field and off the field.
Yeah, got to try and be careful not to get sucked into talking about NRLW when we hear talking about Test match footy. But it was disappointing, just as a neutral, to see that the Warriors did not even apply to be a part of the next injection of clubs. I'm sure you guys feel the same as well. And the other thing too is that not just Madison Bartlett, but all these ladies here, they work full-time jobs, and they've got to go to training. And these ladies are as hard, if not harder, than the men's side of the draw as well. These ladies rip and tear every single day. So the NRLW competition went to another level this year, the best it's ever been, and it's going to continue to evolve. So what is Test match footy going to look like? I suspect it's probably going to be a little rusty, but I still cannot wait to see what sort of passion the ladies bring. And just off the top of my head as well, they also played the All-Stars game as well at the start of the year. And that was a rip-roaring affair as well, actually, off the top of my head too. So I'm really looking forward to it. So now we'll go into the Tonga side. And Hammer Man, I'm going to give you the chore. Can I get you to read off some of the names here?
You can. We've got Laker Clark, Tegan Dimmick, Keyshawn Hala, Eleanor Havea, Hayley Hifo, Kalo Sapani Hopawate, Bridget Hoy, Mary Latu, Amelia Murphy, Sally Mailangi, Shannon Muru, Kimberly Nikau, Monica Samatea, Natasha Penatani, China Palada, Pia Pritchard, Irani Rati, Lusana Sakona, Lavinia Tahalaki, I can't pronounce that one, mate, and Amy Taumalolo. I wonder if that's any relation to Jason Taumalolo.
I don't know. I don't know.
The Cowboys, man.
Is it a common Tongan surname, Taumalolo? Is it like Smith? Is there like 100 of them, or?
Well, interesting. His last name's Vai in native tongue. I'm pretty certain. Jason Vai, I think.
No, I thought his first name was.
I thought his first name was Vi.
First name. True. I've got that mucked around. Oh boy. Now the interesting thing here is that I'll just bring up the image here. So the coach is Milton Dimmick, the son of Jim Dimmick, and making her Test debut up there at the top is Tegan Dimmick, and she is the daughter or in the bloodline as well. There are 5 NRLW caps in this Tongan side. And I think there's approximately, I think there'd be a little bit more in the Kiwi side as well. So look, I'm really excited to see how these ladies go this weekend. ROO+, just off gut feeling, I know that positions have not been announced. They won't be announced until tomorrow. That's something I probably should have said a couple of minutes ago, is that the New Zealand and Tongan sides won't be actually finalised until tomorrow. So that's why we're just sort of going off gut instinct, and why it's a little bit hard to decipher as well. So ROO+, can I get a tip from you, please, man?
Yeah, I'll have to go with the Kiwi Ferns here. Just a lot more experience, as you said, a lot of NRLW caps in there, and a lot of players like Georgia Hale and the likes, and Crystal Rotter. They're very experienced players. Played a lot of Test footy. And first Test back on home soil after a long time. I think they'll get the job done.
Yeah. And your tip, Hammer?
Same, mate. 15 NRLW caps in that Kiwi Fern line up there. And as Rob said, there's some hardened Test match footy players there in Annette Nuasala, Crystal Rota, who's been named to captain the side, Georgia Hale, Maddie Bartlett, and the Racine McGregor in the halves. Her younger sister joining her. Page will play out the centre. So, and a shout out to Roxy Murdoch-Masilla, wife of Ben Murdoch-Masilla, who's a great mate of ours at the Warriors. So, Yeah, mate, I think the Kiwi Ferns will win, and I think they'll win pretty convincingly too.
Likewise, I'm going to go for the Kiwi Ferns this weekend, and that's going to be kicking off at approximately 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the Saturday afternoon. So kick back and relax on Saturday. Now let's get into the main event of what's happening on Saturday. The big return to Mount Smart Stadium. It is the New Zealand Kiwis hosting Tonga from Mount Smart Stadium. Will it be a sea of black or will it be a sea of red? We're going to find out soon enough. And for me, I'm going to go through the team list news for New Zealand as best as I can. Nelson Asafa Solomona is in there. The Bromwich brothers from Melbourne. Dylan Brown makes an appearance in a Kiwis jersey. Aaron Clark from the Gold Coast Titans. James Fisher-Harris, probably bookend with Jesse Bromwich. Kieran Foran and Dylan Brown. Kieran Foran and Dylan Brown will be the halves combination for New Zealand. Peta Hiku has a well-deserved jersey put onto his list again. Jerome Hughes in there, Isaac Liu, Joseph Manu, Tamare Martin, Ken Mamalo, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Griffin Neem from the Cowboys, Britton Nakora, Marata Niakure, Isaiah Papali'i, Jordan Rapana, Jordan Ricky, Brandon Smith, Scott Sorensen, a debutant, Joseph Tarpanay, and DWZ. And I believe the captain is Jesse Bromwich. Now, I did say just then that Dylan Brown and Kieran Foran could be the halves combination, but then I scrolled down a little bit further and saw Jerome Hughes.
Jerome Hughes.
And he's got a massive case to make. So I guess the question there, guys, and Hammer, starting with you, please, first, man. What's your halves combination when it's released tomorrow? What would you like to see?
I think it'll be Brown and Jerome Hughes. I just think Brown's had a really good start to this. I know he's playing in a Parramatta side that, let's face it, we can't get a grip on either way. They lose to the Bulldogs and then beat the Roosters. So we don't know what's going on at Parramatta. But I think Dylan Brown's having a really good season. Jerome Hughes is a standout at the Melbourne Storm. So I think those two are automatic picks. And possibly that might see Kieran Foran play an unconventional role as coming off the bench in that 14 jersey because, 2 years ago everyone thought Kieran Foran's career was over, but gee, hasn't he revitalised his career going back to Manly and playing under the mad professor that is Des Hasler?
He sure has, and even if he doesn't get a starting 17 jersey, Kieran Foran just being there, helping out Dylan Brown and helping out Jerome Hughes even, who, he's gone gangbusters for years now, but only 3 or 4 years. So having Kieran Foran experience half around him next week or so is only going to do him wonders. So Kieran Foran is a very important inclusion just because of his maturity and leadership. And Roo, man, how would you go with the halves pairing, bro?
Yeah, you said it. I think Foran might just be in there for a mentorship kind of role. But it's hard to go past Hughes and Brown. They're informed halves for their clubs. And basically what Hammer said. They go with the young guys. They're the future of New Zealand Test Rugby League. So I think they'll get the nod. Maybe Foran plays a 14 role off the bench, possibly. I know he could come and play a bit of dummy half, but I think they'll be the Brown and Hughes will be your starting halves for the Kiwis.
And just starting with you now, Roo, I'm going to bring up the overlay again, and I'll get you to talk as well. Are you disappointed in the lack of Warriors representatives in this squad, or is it just the penalty of a bottom 8 season? I say that with all due respect. Would you have liked to seen a couple of more Warriors in this squad?
Yeah, look, it's probably an indication of how we're travelling at the moment. There's not too many guys I can think of in the side. Maybe Tohu Harris. Could have been in the side there. Otherwise, Jazz Tavanga, another one who has versatility. I thought could have won a cap. But otherwise, I mean, all those guys that are picked in the squad are all informed players and all worthy of their spots for the Kiwis team. And it's hard to see where, let's face it, Warriors are struggling at the moment, and it's probably just an indication of it. The strongest players from New Zealand are not playing for the Warriors at the moment, unfortunately.
Hammer, would you have made a case to push someone into this New Zealand squad this weekend from the Warriors?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, I mean, it's no surprise that I'm a massive fan of Jazz Tavanga and we do know him quite well off the field. But I think his performances for the Warriors this year, and no disrespect to any of the guys that have been selected, but I think Jazz Tavanga this year has been, a much better and much more disciplined rugby league player. And he's probably having a better season than someone like a Griffin Neame who's coming off the bench for the Cowboys, or even a Jordan Ricky who's playing at the Broncos. I think Jazz, I thought, had done enough. Speaking to him on the weekend, he was pretty gutted that he missed out on Kiwi's selection. But aside from that, the Warriors don't really have a lot of New Zealand-born players playing in their top 17 at the moment. Our back row of Josh Curran and Ewan Aitken and Jack Murchie, they're all Aussies. Reece Walsh is an Aussie. Marcelo Montoya is Fijian.
AFB, Tongan.
Tonga. Bunty for Samoa. Right. And so there's not a lot. There's really only like Dallin, Sean Johnson, Adam Pompey, Jazz and Tor, who are probably the only Kiwi players playing first grade at the Warriors at the moment. So for Dallin to get selected in the squad, I think it's justified. As Rob said, maybe if Tohu had played a couple more games, he would definitely be in there. He's always in the mix for the Kiwis. But for me personally, I just think Jazz really deserved a Kiwi, like to be picked in that squad anyway. And he would have been fantastic as the 14 for him coming off that bench, playing that role that he played so well for the Warriors. But they're going to have their work cut out for him. The thing that probably, just digressing, the thing that probably surprised me the most is that we've only picked two centres in that squad, which is Joey Manu and Petahiku, two regular centres. And for me, in a New Zealand Test jersey, we've all seen how well Joey Manu plays in the number 1 jersey. I would have had him at fullback and then have, another centre in there with Petahiku. So I don't know, maybe Madge is going to mix it up a little bit. Maybe the fact that Dylan Brown played some footy in the centres for Parramatta this year, maybe he shifts to the centres and allows Kieran Foran and Jerome Hughes to play in the halves. Are they going to select Tameri Martin at fullback and play Manu in his traditional centres position? But we've all seen Joey Manu play as a 5'8" or as a fullback, and when he's most dangerous when he's got the ball in his hand. So standing on a right edge or a left edge is not going to be conducive to putting in a good performance for the Kiwis. So hopefully he gets the 1 jersey, and then we'll see what happens with our centre pairings. Maybe Mulatalo gets a centre position. I don't know.
As fantastic of a story and return that Tamari Martin has been, how good he's been at fullback as well. Seeing Joseph Manu in the All Blacks jersey at fullback, that does make my mouth water just quietly. He could be the difference in the end for sure. I think their forward pack, Bromwich brothers are great. You've got Marata Niokore and Nick Cora as well. They could be starting second row pairings as well. It's a really, really bloody good squad, just quietly, that Michael Maguire, coach, has formed. And coming into the game, New Zealand Warriors have won, even though this is from years ago, so maybe this doesn't count for nothing, but they come into this test match after winning 3 of their past 4 encounters back in 2019. So that's their winning record coming into this contest. So they've got a bit of good form with Michael Maguire there. I believe their only loss was against Australia in 2019 as well. And starting with Roo and then going to you, Hammer, man, how do you, out of 10, how do you rate this Kiwi squad that will be finalised tomorrow, Roo?
Yeah, it's a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Strong side. Like, you could, any number of combinations of players in there you could put together and it'd be a very good team.
For sure. Hammer?
It all depends who Madge pick. The squad is great, but when you look at that squad, there's probably some guys that are there and they're going to be there for the experience for further on down the track when we go to the World Cup, and they're not going to get a jersey this weekend. Although we have seen Madge make some weird selections at the Tigers, so hopefully he doesn't do the same thing for the Kiwis. Yeah, I like our forward pack. I like, a guy like Isaiah Papali'i. He's been playing such great football the last 2 years, and he's going to be great for the Kiwis. Jesse and Kenny Bromwich, as you said, and then you got Murata Niokore, Britton Nikora. Yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's a good squad that is assembled. There is one omission to that, though. Isaac Liu has actually pulled out of the squad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his wife is expecting their second child on the weekend, so he has pulled out of the Kiwi squad for this weekend. So he definitely won't be playing.
Oh, well, congratulations to the Liu family for sure.
Yep.
And then we'll move over to the Tongan side, and I'll go through it. So Tyler Taukola for Manly, he's going to be lining up at jersey number 1. News today, maybe it was yesterday, but news very recently that because Kotoni Staggs has been omitted from the New South Wales squad, he will be taking his place. So when you see to be confirmed, that was going to be Staggs and Tupou, but it is going to be Kotoni Staggs in filling in jersey number 3. Number 4, Moses Sully, who's been in great form for the Dragons, one of their best. Number 5 is Sione Katoa. Tony Staggs there, Talatau Amon, CRCR Tokayaho, Saleva Havili, Aidan Fanua Blake, Satiliu Tupanua, Kion Koloamatangi, and the co-captain, Jason Taumalolo. He co-captains with Takeaho. Number 14, Sonny Luke. Number 15, Homole Olakawatu, Tita Pangai Jr. and Tafita Totola with Moeki Fodawaka in there as well. So to be confused, so I see Tony Staggs there is at 5'8". I would, looking at the reserves, I would probably, it's a toss-up between Christian Tuipulotu and Will Penasini. And you know what? You'd probably put them two together actually out there on the wing, and it's still going to be a really impressive center wing combination, Tuipulotu and Will Penasini. Just Hammer, just your initial reaction to that Tongan side. That's a strong squad as well, man.
I saw a story today saying that that young Isaiah Katoa, who I think is listed as number 20, he will be starting in the 6th jersey with Talato Amone in the 7. Staggs has gone back to the centres, and I think it's Stafford Tile that's come onto the wing because they originally named Daniel Tupu. So, mate, it's a strong side. I mean, look at the back rowers. Hamolo Olaka'atu can't get a starting spot in the Tongan back row because he's up against Sitili Tupanua and Keon Kolomatangi. So that's just something. You look at the front row of Taukeiaho and Fanua Blake and then Jason Taumalolo. That is an all-star test match forward pack. And that is where the Tongans are going to really put the Kiwis to the sword in that forward battle. We all know how good a meter reader Taumalolo is and his post-contact meters, and Adam Fanua Blake the same thing. Taukeiaho the same thing. And then you've got guys like Mo Fodawaker and Tavita Pangai Jr. And Olakau'atu coming off the bench. That Tongan side is just absolutely fantastic. As a Kiwi, because some of these guys do qualify to play for the Kiwis, I'm so happy that all these guys have decided to come out for their nation of origin, being Tonga, and it won't be long before Samoa are doing the same thing and putting up a really great competitive squad against the top nations in the world. Because you got to remember too, Tonga is still regarded as a second-tier nation because, and it's not because of their on-field performances. That's just because of their level of development, the juniors have got coming through, their pathways programs back in Tonga, the money in the game. That's what determines Tier 1 and Tier 2 nations. But Tonga have beaten every single Tier 1 nation. They've beaten the Aussies, they've beaten the Kiwis, they've beaten the English. So they're going to be a real difficult team to come up against for the Kiwis on the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, my word, yes. So I should also mention as well that Dean Young is the coach for Tonga, and that Wayne Bennett is going to be a special advisory for Dean Young. So Bennett's going to be a bit of a a flavour in this Tonga squad as well for the next couple of days. Cannot wait to see how Tonga go, man. Roo, what are your thoughts on Tonga this weekend, man?
We all know what happened the last time Wayne Bennett was an advisor for a nation other than Australia, with the Kiwis winning the World Cup in 2008. Wayne Bennett heavily involved, so I don't know whether that's an omen or something for the Tongans. Look, I've got a bit of a soft spot.
I was going to say he was coach of England and they did nothing, so don't worry about it, mate.
Yeah, that's right, and that's happened more recently, hasn't it? So okay, maybe we'll strike that from the record. Anyway, yeah, I've got a bit of a soft spot for the Tongans. A childhood mate of mine, I've been friends with for 30 odd years, is Tongan, and I know how passionate he is about the side. So yeah, but I will say probably the weakness in their side is probably the halves, and that's been that way for a while for the Tongans. I know for a while they would have guys like Tuilola here and Ada Hengano and these kind of sort of unheralded halves. Always had a great back line and awesome forward pack, as Hammer said. Like, that's a fantastic forward pack. Yeah. But I think maybe for me, one question mark would be the halves. Yeah, probably a little bit of lack of experience there, even at NRL level. So there'll be a lot of pressure on those guys. Yeah. But yeah, the forward battle, man, that's going to be something to behold. Yeah, between the two nations. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the hooking situations there for Tonga, I can see Havili will be the hooker. And yeah, he has been a good hooker, but he's been playing more of a second row lock role for South Sydney Rabbitohs this season. I think he's been tearing it up in that position, man. Like, there's less onus on him to create something, and it's just more of an onus for him to bash through the middle. So Havili, I don't know. It's a weird one. It could be that he's worked so long in the forward pack, like as far as second row and lock position now for the past 6 or so months, that he got to revert back into hooker. I mean, maybe it will just come to him naturally. Maybe it won't. So that is just a question mark that I do have on Tonga. And I agree with both of you in the sense that I think the Kiwis, once the squad will be fair and finalised tomorrow afternoon, I think they're going to have a better backline than the Tongan side. But as that forward pack, dead set, put metal in your bloody shoulder pads, and just good luck to yous. It's going to be a war this weekend. And
some sore bodies.
Can you freaking believe that on Sportsbet about a week or so ago, Kiwis were $1.25 to the Tongan side $4. $4 about Tonga, man, should have taken it there and then. I'm sorry, man, because this is going to be such a close game. Roo, what's your tip, man? And what about an anytime try scorer, if you can, please, man?
My tip, I think the Kiwis will just have a little bit too much polish for the Tongans. I think it'll be close, but I think it'll be close for about 60, 65 minutes, but I can see the Kiwis having a little bit too much class with their back line and their halves. So I'll go Kiwis 1-12. Anytime try scorer, I'm going to put Ronaldo Mulatalo.
Nice. That's a good shout. I like that, man. And Hammer, what's your tip in anytime try scorer?
My fear is that if the Kiwis try and play the power game through the forwards, they're going to get dominated by Tonga. And we've seen it happen before where they've tried that, and Tonga literally ran them off the park. And with worse halves playing that day than they've got playing this week. I think the Kiwis' strength is their halves and their back line. So if we play to our strength, I think we can get up. But if they try to play the power game, I think Tonga will run over the top of them. So it all depends who comes out. So I'll stay with my heart and say the Kiwis 1-12, and I'll put in an anytime try scorer, Joey Manu. Anytime he gets the ball in his hands, he's dangerous. And, I'll put him down as my anytime try scorer.
I definitely think there's going to be points in this for both sides. It's the forwards of Tonga versus the backs of the Kiwis. But I think just the return home, the energy, the emotion that's going to be about that joint. I think the New Zealand Kiwis are going to get up and win this game, probably approximately by 8 points. I'll go with 8 points. And as an anytime try scorer, I'm going to tip Dylan Brown to be an anytime try scorer and use a bit of his running game and get on the edges of a back line that I think is going to be a little bit weaker compared to the Kiwis this Saturday. Now, let's go into this, the third game, the second male game, but the third game of International Rugby League that's happening this weekend. And it's one that I'm really looking forward to for a couple of reasons. Samoa versus the Cook Islands. And Roo, I'd like to please start with you first, man. Can I get you to take us through the Samoan side that will be taking the paddock this weekend at Campbelltown Stadium, please?
No worries. The Samoan boys, they line up Charlie Staines, Taylor May, Isaac Tago, Jackson Paulo, David Nofaluma, Chanel Harris-Tavita, Anthony Milford, Marty Tapau, Jazz Tavanga, Francis Molo, Josh Schuster, Jaden Sua, Josh Aloye, and on the bench we have Manu Brown, Keenan Palacia, Spencer Leniu, Bunty Arfour, Matthew Fagai, Ronald Volkman, and Tofoa Sipley on the extended bench. That's a good-looking side.
It is a good-looking side, man. And just, I guess I'll just pause it here. And it's something that Hammer just touched on as well. In my opinion, and it's a question for both of you, in my opinion, it's Papua New Guinea and Samoa that are the next two to be in the frame to elevate themselves into a tier 1 nation, whereas I think Tonga is sort of in between at the moment, between tier 1 and then they're just on a level high, way above everybody else. And then I think you've got Samoa and Papua New Guinea that are just below. And we've all heard rumors about or the suggestion that the Johns brothers wanted to take over for Samoa. And that was probably a bit too far-fetched. And starting with Hammer, I guess, please, man. Samoa, man, do you think that this is do you think this is a more important game than what people could not be giving it credit towards? Does that make sense? Do you think that this game is actually really important as far as the development of Samoa and maybe even forging a path clearly to becoming a tier 1 rugby league nation?
Yeah, I think they're a fair way off becoming tier 1, but I understand what you're saying. And yes, I think it's a massive game for Samoa because, as I said, as we've touched on, we've all seen how the resurgence of the Tongan side has been over the past couple of seasons prior to COVID and with their performances in the international game. And I think for a while there, Samoa was that side that everyone thought was going to be that next big team. If we go back to the late 2000s, everyone thought Samoa was going to be the team that elevated themselves, and it never really happened for Samoa. A lot of the Samoan players opted to play for the Kiwis, and it really took the strength out of their squad. And now you're seeing guys like Josh Aloye and Marty Tapau, playing for Tonga, for Samoa and Jazz. I think this is a really, really important game for them. A massive game. I like their halves pairing of Milford and CHT as well. It's for an emerging nation, so to speak. It's quite a good halves pairing. And then Taylor May, he's having a great season. Isaac Tago, and then you've got David Nofaluma, who's just an out-and-out try scorer. And add to that Josh Schuster, who's just plays at a different level when he's at Manly as well. So it's a big game for them, a massive game for them. Unfortunately, their opponents aren't. What's a nice way to put this? Aren't going to be up to their level of skill and performance. There's not a lot of first-grade experience in that Cook Islands team. And for a long time, the Cook Islands have been calling out for internationals, and they were never really given them. And that was back in the days, like a couple of seasons ago, you could have had a guy like Alex Glenn leading them, and Chance Nickel-Kluxter playing at fullback, and a whole lot of other Cook Island players that were willing to step up and play for the Cook Islands. And then some of those guys, Chance is injured, and Alex Glenn's retired. Some of those guys have moved over to the English comp now. Yeah, they're not going to be the level of opposition that Samoa really need to bring the best out of their game.
I absolutely agree with that, and I do remember a time there where Cook Islands actually did have a fair dream roster that was foreseeable, that could have actually eventuated. So I do agree with that, definitely. And Brew Bro, what's your reaction to the Samoan side, and do you think this is as important than Hammer and I think it is, or do you think maybe this is just a stepping stone?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think Samoa really need their Tongan moment where a bunch of their players turn around and go, look, we're going to commit to Samoa. We're going to play for Samoa moving forward. And I think then you'll start to see them assert themselves on the international competition. Look, it's a good-looking side. A lot of young talent in there, especially in that back line. A lot of those young Penrith guys.
Yeah.
So I think they'll put on quite a few points against the Cook Islands this weekend. Yeah, look, the forward pack pretty good as well. A lot of international experience there. Francis Molo played State of Origin last year as well, and they're probably they're not quite up there at the Tongan level. But yeah, as I said, if some of those players sort of pick and stick with Samoa, then I think they're going to be right up there in maybe 2, 3, 4 years' time.
Yeah. And
provided that the important thing here, though, is to continually give these nations international footy. So it's not enough to have them play one test on rep round, and we all celebrate, how culturally diverse our rugby league competition is. But then come the end of the year, I know this is a World Cup year, so they all get to play. But come the end of the year, Australia, New Zealand, and England and Tonga all go off and have their international against each other, and these other nations just wallow with no one looking out for them, no one getting these international games. If they can continue to get international games and have like a Pacific Nations series at the end of each year, where it's Fiji, Samoa, Cook Islands, Papua New Guinea, and they can kind of have their own type of round robin competition at the end of each year for those nations. And yes, you'll get guys wanting to commit, but if there's nothing for them, then these Samoan players all pledge their allegiance to Australia or New Zealand, and it kind of falls by the wayside. That's where Tonga have been so good. That's where Tonga have been so great, is that they've all made that commitment and they've stuck to their guns. And then they've got a guy like Christian Wolf out there coaching them, and then he makes sure that he gets them these international games that they need to continually to progress. That's what Samoa need in place. Something like that.
Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah, absolutely. And not to put too fine of a point on it, but like all games this weekend are incredibly important because the World Cup is coming up in about 4 months' time. So I've seen comments on the Twitter space that have said that who cares about these games that are happening? Well, Mount Smart's making a freaking return this weekend, and the World Cup is happening in about 4 or 5 months. So no, these games are seriously critical to everybody's chances besides Malta Knights that we touched on before. And speaking of the Cook Islands, let's go into the Cook Islands team list now. That's Tonga. Sorry about that. This is Cook Islands. Hammerman, can I get you to please take us through the side, please?
Sure can. So fullback, they've got KL Iro, who's a young kid out of Cronulla. He's actually ex-NRL Kevin Iro's son. So that's a big thing for him. Stevie Masters and Malachi Morgan on the wings. Anthony Gelling and Ruben Rennie in the centres. Issam Masters playing 5'8". Reece Joyce at half. And then the forward pack is Vincent Rennie, Aaron Taroy, Xavier Willinson, Brendan Piakura, our good mate Pride Patterson Rabadi, Tinirao Arona, who has been named captain of the squad. And then on the bench, we've got Brody Tamarua, Moses Noval McGreal, Makaheshi Makatoa, Davey Moala, and the extended bench is Ruben Porter, Jeff Daniela, Andre Iro, and Lucky Pocky.
Right. Now, as Warriors fans, I need to ask a serious question. So Pride Patterson Rabati is co-captain of the Cook Islands this weekend. Co-captain. And he can't crack it in the New Zealand Warriors this year. Starting with you, Roo, mate, what has Peterson Rabadi got to do to get his jersey in the New Zealand Warriors, man?
I don't know, mate. Look, from all reports, he's carving it up at Queensland Cup level. He seems to be player of the match almost every week. He's been in the squad for 2 years and hasn't even got a game yet, despite our struggles. We've had a bit of a chat to him at the games at Redcliffe, and I think he's probably thinking the same thing. What does he have to do to get into the side? But this is a good opportunity for him to really show his wares, show the Warriors what he can do when he's given an opportunity.
Yeah, and this is the only piece of footage that I can find on YouTube of Parade Peterson Rabadi, but I've seen him play before. And whilst he may not be the tallest fella, he's got tremendous agility to put a step on like that and to go over and crash over and score a try. So I just really wanted to show a highlight of this gentleman because Hammer, man, he's a good prospect in waiting, isn't he? He
is, mate. And as Rob says, we every time we're at the game, we have a bit of a chat to Pride, and he's dumbfounded. He doesn't know what he needs to do. Once Brownie left, he thought that now he might have some better opportunities at the Warriors, and Stacey's told him just keep working hard and your time will come. But mate, there's not much more the guy can do in Queensland Cup. He's pretty much the player of the game every round that the Dolphins play in the Queensland Cup. Hopefully he said to me on the weekend that he's using this game as an opportunity to show the rugby league public what he's capable of doing. So sweet. Hopefully he has a really big game, and he shows some of his wares. And if he's not going to get an opportunity at the Warriors, well then hopefully another club can pick him up and get him into their system, because he was in the Broncos system for a while, and we got him early at the beginning of last year. They got him out of that Broncos system and got him down to the Warriors under all this talk about how good a player he is, and then we never got to see him play. So it's an interesting one. But good luck to Pride. We wish him all the best. I hope he plays a really good game this weekend.
For sure. She's definitely one of the players to watch this weekend, in my opinion. So as a tip and anytime try and scoreline, look, Samoa, this is it's kind of weird to say, but genuinely, this is a must-win game for Samoa. They are playing a side that is well and truly that's with all due respect to Cook Islands, so I'm going to come out firing on Saturday evening. But I think this is must-win for Samoa. I think they'll probably be scared, not scared. They'll probably be in a battle for about 20 minutes, and then the screws will start to tighten on them. So I think Samoa will win this one 26 points to 10 at Campbelltown. And I think an anytime try scorer, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to bring up I'm going to bring this up, and I think why not go Taylor May, who's been in terrific try scoring form. So 26 points to 10 to Samoa, and Taylor May will be an anytime try scorer. Hammer, what's your tip this weekend?
Mate, I reckon it'll be Samoa by 40, and I will say that Taylor May and David Nofaluma each to get a double. There you go.
Jeez, Struth. Roo. Roo, what do you reckon this weekend?
Look, I won't get as excited as Hammer, but I think Samoa by 30. And I'm going to go Isaac Tago to get a hat trick.
Oh, hat trick. That's juicy. Oh, yes, sir. More. All right. Now, the final game of the weekend. This is the final one. And I'll tell you what, if New Zealand and Tonga weren't facing each other this weekend, this is my game of the round. Papua New Guinea versus Fiji on a Saturday night out at Campbelltown. These two sides are going to kill each other this Saturday. Two behemoth squads. And Roo, can I please get you to take us through the Papua New Guinea inside, please, man?
Sure thing. We've got Alex Johnston, the South Sydney Try Machine at fullback. Robert Derby and Terry Wapi on the wings. And David Mead and the block of granite, Justin Olam. What a great centre pairing there. In the halves, Kyle Labert and Lachlan Lamb. Epel Capinius and Puara at hooker. Namo is the other prop. Dan Russell, Nixon Put, and Jacob Alec. On the bench, we have Liam Horn, Emmanuel Wayne, Mackenzie Ye, Dilbert Isaac, and the extended bench is Junior Rop, Sherwin Tanabe, and Solo Wayne.
And Hammer, can you please take us through the Fiji side now, man?
I can. So we got Sunia Turuva, Michaeli Ravalawa, Semi Valame, Wonga Blake, Mike Acevo, Kevin Nakwama, Natu'u Masima. Oh, look, I'm not even going to say Joseph.
I didn't mean to throw you under the bus there, bro.
Joseph Ratu. Everyone just calls him Joseph Ratu. That's what his friends call him. Panoni Takatu Tuimua, Tui Kamikamitha, Viliami Kikau, Taniela Sandrugu, Tane Milne at lock. And then on the bench, you got Isaac Lumi, Pio Seki, Lamal Manuel Lealavale, Kalen Miller with Nasoki, Luvu, and Kuri Katoga on the extended bench.
Hammer, you're the man of the match, by the way. So I look at both of these squads. I generally do think that it's just blocks of granite running into each other for 80 minutes. This is going to be such a good game to watch. Fiji, to me, however, look like they got some really good, classy players in their squad over a more rough and ragged Papua New Guinean looking side. Just to as well say that David Mead is the captain for Papua New Guinea, and the captain for Fiji is Kevin Aguama, who is participating in his 20th test match. So congratulations to him, man. That's a good achievement for Fiji. I am looking at the back row for Fiji. I think that is super class. Kamikamika Kikau, Sage Rugu is a Fijian prospect that the North Queensland Cowboys picked up in the off-season, and there's been nothing but good raps about him. So I haven't seen him play this year at all. I am so excited to see how that young bloke goes. And Tane Milne at lock is an interesting selection, playing in the lock when he's usually more of a backline player. So Hammerman, how do you sort of summarize both squads, and what are you expecting this Saturday night?
I expect. Have you ever seen like the old footage of Papua New Guinean players playing in their local comp up and they just smash into each other, and you can hear the contact and broken bones is what I'm expecting on from this game. They are two massive teams of men. I think Fiji will just have a little bit too much class. I like a guy like Viliami Kikau running on an edge, and that back line like Semi Valmale, Michaela Ravalawa, Wonga Blake, Mike Acevo, Kevin Naguama, all big, played a lot of matches in the NRL. I think Fiji will probably get the win in this one. But I don't think Papua New Guinea will be outdone. I think it'll be a lot closer than a lot of people think, to the point where it'll probably come down to a converted try, less than a converted try, to determine this one. And I'll throw Kikau out as a anytime try scorer. He'll be lurking around the ball all game, looking to get a 4-pointer. So, yeah.
Boo, man. Scale of 1 to 10. How much are you looking forward to this game this weekend?
Yeah, mate, this is going to be awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Look, Papua New Guinea, they have really benefited from having the Hunters in the Queensland Cup competition. They've come along in leaps and bounds, and it's been great for them. Last World Cup, they were fantastic, having like the majority of games played on their home turf. Last time they played, I think they gave it to Great Britain, didn't they? Up there in Port Moresby. So yeah, they've got some good form on the board. Mate, Justin Olam, practically the best centre in the game at the moment. And you got Alex Johnson, who can find the try line. I think this is going to be a points fest. I think there's going to be a lot of tries scored. But as you guys have said, I think there's going to be a little bit too much class in Fiji. they've got some great finishers there. Ravalawa, Sivo, and then you've got Velame and Wanga Blake, very experienced NRL players as well. I think Fiji 1-12, and my tip is Michaeli Ravalawa for a double.
Nice. I like it. I'm going to tip Fiji as well. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this. I'm going to go Fiji 28 points to 22 in a bit of a thriller. And look, outside of the North Queensland Cowboys, my favourite player in the NRL is Viliami Kikau. I think he's going to lead from the front. He's going to do a tremendous job, and he's going to be an anytime try scorer. So we're all going for Fiji. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And so we're all going for the New Zealand side. We're all going for Samoa. If it comes back 0-3, people won't ever forgive us. I have to look elsewhere. No,
three wise men.
Exactly. Guys, that's it. That's the preview of the Rugby League Internationals happening this weekend. I am so grateful for your time. I've had a serious amount of fun tonight. Thank you so much. And it is all on the eve of a very special show, I understand, Hammer.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, we've got our 100th show on tomorrow night. It kind of crept up on us a little bit. I was thinking the other week, I wonder like how many shows we did, because our 50th show crept up on us as well. But yeah, so we've got our 100th show tomorrow night. We've been very blessed in our journey over the past 2.5 years doing ROO and Hammer. Have the support of the Warriors, the Warriors fan base, and all the current and ex players that have come on our show and had chats to us. We pinch ourselves quite often that we're in the position that we're in, and we don't take it for granted. The ability that we have to reach people. So we're just going to have a 100 show tomorrow night. We're not going to do anything like a normal review or preview show. It's just going to be us, people logging in, and come and join us on screen and ask us some questions and get to know us a little bit better. Ask us, anything about rugby league, the Warriors, whatever. We'll be there for about an hour and a half tomorrow night, just answering some questions and reliving some memories and having some fun.
Yeah. And Roo, man, come on, you're going to pull out the beers, aren't you? Is there going to be a champagne in a bucket of ice there tomorrow night when you're live?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. All that, all the bells and whistles. It'll be on for young and old for sure. Yeah, on a Wednesday night. But no, as Hammer said, mate, we've just had such an enjoyable ride. We started off a couple of blokes who didn't know how to use technology whatsoever. We had to Google, how do we actually do this? And well, even to the point when our very first show, we didn't even know if we were live or not. We're like, are we live? We're live. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's been a fantastic ride. We've met so many wonderful people like yourself, Sam, and gotten to know other content creators, and we've had some wonderful support from the club, from current and ex-players as well. And we've just loved hearing the stories of people involved in the club, whether they've been players, administrators, fans. It's just been really a dream come true, to be honest, mate. And I've just loved every moment of it, and long may it continue.
It will continue, guys, because you are one of the best rugby league content creators out there. You are so class. You guys are so professional, but you're also, you can have a laugh at yourselves as well. And I mean, I remember seeing I recommend everyone go watch it, the interview with Ivan Cleary, and how much of a laugh at himself he had as well. That was one of my favorite interviews that you guys ever did. So please, everyone, go and support them on Patreon. Link is in the description below. The link to their YouTube channel is also in the description box below, and everywhere else that you can go find ROO and Hammer is below. That's it, guys.
Grab a shirt.
Grab a shirt as well, of course. Yes,
get a Redbubble store. Yep.
And that's it, guys. Hope you all have a very nice weekend. International Rugby League is back for the first time in near 3 years. Let's friggin' rock and roll and support every man and woman that is playing this weekend. So adios, everybody. Take care. Thank you again. Bye.
Thanks, Sam.